Welcome! Today, we will learn how to read and understand your electric and water meters in your respective houses. It's easy and essential for managing your home's utilities. Are you familiar with this one? Have you seen any of them in your houses? Now, do you know how to read them? If not, don't worry because our objectives for today are: first, to read and interpret electric meter readings, and second, to read and interpret water meter readings. Let's go back to the display screen we had a while ago that showed kilowatt per hour usage or kWh usage. If you could notice, each display has an arrow pointing to a number or close to it. Reading electric and water meters means looking at the number on them one after the other, just like when you watch the numbers change on a clock. But first, let us know what an electric meter is. An electric meter measures the energy used from electrical sources in our homes. It's usually located outside our homes for easy access by utility company representatives during monthly readings. Reading your electric meter is simple, and there are two types commonly used. One, digital, which shows kilowatt per hour readings with numbers, and the second, dial, which is the most common type. There are steps to be followed in electric reading. 1. Always read all the dials from right to left, starting from dial E to dial A. 2. Read the number on the pointer on the dial. When the pointer is between two numbers, the lower number is recorded. 3. If the pointer appears to be exactly on a number, check the dial to the right to find out the correct reading. If the dial on the right has passed 0, then use the number that the pointer is pointing to on the dial you are reading. If the dial has not passed 0, then make use of the smaller number on the dial you are reading. The first example shows the following meter reading on each dial. Suppose this is the electric meter reading of one of the establishments in your area. In how many kilowatts per hour does this establishment utilize? Now, let's start reading the dials from right to left. Try to name each dial from A to E if you are still confused when reading them. Dial E. The pointer is directly on the number 7. Record as 7. Dial D. The pointer has just passed 4 and is between 4 and 5. Record the lower value 4. Dial C. The next dial looks like it is right on 8, but the dial to its right has not passed 0. So, record this as 7, the lower value. Dial B. The pointer is between 2 and 3. Record the lower value that the pointer just passed, 2. Dial A. The dial has passed 6 and is between 6 and 7. Again, record the lower value, 6. How can we write our answers? Let's start writing the numbers we have read from dials A to dial E. Since we're talking about electric meter reading, we will use kWh or kilowatt per hour. Now, How can you interpret all of these dials? It could only mean that 62,747 kilowatt per hour was consumed by one of the establishments in your area. Note, always read the dials from the right to the left, starting from dial E to dial A. Each dial will turn in the opposite direction. So, if your first dial turns clockwise, the second dial will turn anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. Be sure to remember this when recording your reading. Now, suppose the following dials below is the electric meter reading in your house. Try to read this electric meter on each dial in kilowatts per hour. You are given 20 seconds. Try as fast as you can. If you are wrong this time, it doesn't count, so don't you worry. Okay, let's start reading them from right to left. Try to name each dial from A to E if you're still confused when reading them. Dial E. The pointer is between 5 and 6. Record 5. Dial D. The pointer is between 6 and 7. Record 6. Dial C. The pointer is on 9. If the dial on the right or dial D has just passed 0, then use the number that the pointer is pointing to on the dial you are reading. So, record 9. Dial B. The next dial is directly pointing to 9. Let's go back to dial C. The dial has not passed 0, so record this as 8, the lower value. Dial A. Between 7 and 8, the pointer is close to 8, but you need to record the number with the lower value. Thus, record 7. Therefore, the electric meter reading is 78,965 kilowatts per hour. Did you arrive at the same answer? If yes, keep it up. If not, it's okay. We still have another activity later. Now, how can you interpret all these dials? It could only mean that 78,965 kilowatt per hour was consumed by a certain household. We're done reading electric meters. Now, let's try to read water meters. What is a water meter? A water meter measures the volume of water delivered to a property, with some measuring in gallons and others in cubic feet and cubic meters, typically located near the front of a property, which helps the truck water usage efficiently. Older water meters have small dials that look like clocks and measure water in cubic meters. When reading these dials, remember that the rightmost one is the most important, just like reading numbers on an electric meter. How to read water meters? 1. Start reading from right to left. Read the number based on the pointer on the dial. When the pointer is between two numbers, the lower number is recorded. 2. When the pointer is directly on the number, look at the dial to the right. If it has passed 0, use the next higher number. If the dial has not passed 0, use the lower number. 3. Record the numbers from right to left. Let's have an example. In example number 3, we will read the amount of water used in cubic meter by one household from the given dials. To read water meters, we will follow 3 steps. First, start reading from right to left, clockwise. Read the number on the pointer on the dial. When the pointer is between 2 numbers, the lower number is recorded. You can name each dial from dial A to dial D if you're still confused about how you read them. Dial D, directly pointing to 3. Record 3. Dial C, the pointer is between 3 and 4. Record 3. Dial B, the pointer is between 1 and 2. Record 1. Dial A, directly pointing to 8, so record 8. Second, if the pointer appears to be exactly on a number, check the next lower dial to the right to find out the correct reading. If the dial on the right has passed 0, then use the smaller number on the dial when you are reading. Let's visit our dials. Dials D and A are the dials where the pointer is directly pointing at the number. A while ago, we recorded these numbers. For dial D, we have 3, while for dial A, we have 8. Now, look at the dial to the right of dials D and A. Dial D has no dial to its right, so 3 will not change. Look at the dial to the right of dial A. That is dial B. What have you noticed? Is the number on dial B passing 0 or before 0? Since dial B passes 0, we will write the higher number on the dial. Record 8. We're done with step 2. For the last step, record the numbers from right to left. Since we have the number to each of the dials from step 1 and 2, just arrange them. Rewrite starting from D up to A. So, we have 3,318 cubic meter. Now, how can you interpret all of these dials? It could only mean that 3,318 cubic meter was consumed by one household. Let's do another example. Example number 4. The dials below present the amount of water used in cubic meter by another household. Do it alone for 20 seconds. After that, we will be showing the answer from our readings. Time starts now. Now, let's read each of the dials by following the given steps. Start reading from right to left. Name each dial if you need to. Dial D. Since the pointer is directly on 3, record 3. Dial C. Record 5 since the pointer is between 5 and 6. We will choose the lower number, which is 5. Dial B. The pointer is directly on 1, so we will go back to dial C. It doesn't pass 0 yet, so dial B will remain as 1. Dial A. The pointer is directly on 8, so we need to go back to dial B. Since it passes 0, we will record the higher number. That is 8. We recorded numbers on each dial. We will rewrite them starting from dial D to dial A. Thus, reading the given water meter, we have the answer, 3,518. How can you interpret the result? The household consumes 3,518 cubic meters. We're done reading and interpreting electric and water meters, but we still have more. Before reading and interpreting them, let's get the gist of the steps involved in meter readings. To read an electric meters, we have to remember this. 1. Always read all the dials from right to left, starting from dial E to dial A. Read the number on the pointer on the dial. When the pointer is between two numbers, the lower number is recorded. If the pointer appears to be exactly on a number, check the dial to the right to find out the correct readings. If the dial on the right has passed 0, then use the number that the pointer is pointing to on the dial you are reading. If the dial has not passed 0, then make use of the smaller number on the dial you are reading. As for reading water meters, remember to start reading from right to left, clockwise. Read the number on the pointer on the dial. When the pointer is between two numbers, the lower number is recorded. If the pointer appears to be exactly on a number, check the next lower dial to the right to find out the correct reading. If the dial on the right has passed 0, then use the higher number on the dial you are reading. If the dial has not passed 0, use the lower number. Lastly, record the numbers from right to left. Great job today! I look forward to seeing your continued progress in our future lessons. Keep up the fantastic work by reading the following electric and water meters. This concludes our video on this topic. Keep on learning. Keep on striving. Be matatag. Be mas tatag. Basta sa Cotabato, mga bata ang numero 1.